But yes. One must simply walk before he can run, and run before he can fly. One cannot simply fly into flying. And that is not me. That is Nietzsche.
Most men that work here don't go around quoting Nietzsche.
Alright! Everybody shut up! Stay calm, nobody gets hurt. Don't stall me, fat boy, let's go! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
Excuse me for just a moment.
Who the f is this asshole?
Please refrain from using any further obscenities in front of these people.
What?
You've been warned. I will thrash you.
You.
Freeze you disease right now, so it's peasant.
What the f is up, internets? Welcome to another episode of That's the F***ing Trailer.
You know who I am. I am Mr. Royal, the host with the most, and this is D to the P.
Or the G, depending on where you know me from.
Hey, and I know you from That's the F***ing Trailer. Internets, we're back. I know it's been a while. We're coming off some hard-hitting facts, I would say.
Yeah. You mean like from United States, or are you talking about what we got coming up tonight?
United States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because we had to reunite the States if we're going to come back to America.
That's true.
All right, then we'll go.
I want to give a shout out to Jamal Oaks of THC Trap House Chicken for giving us our location for the intro of this episode. If you're in Jacksonville, Florida, check them out. We'll put the website in the description somewhere. Tell the folks about Patreon.
Listen, guys, if you want to support us, and I mean really support us, the good old folks at Patreon has made it very easy for you guys to do this. You guys can subscribe each month to pledge a certain amount to the show because, as you guys know, we work very hard at this. We have day jobs, we have night jobs, we have side jobs, and we get blow jobs. So it's a lot of jobs to try to keep track of. So if you could put in money like that, you can get more banter, we can get better and bigger productions, and we can make like real girls come into the studio, and I can actually then go back and watch myself. So guys, please subscribe to Patreon, because guess what? We support you support us, support the craft.
That is patreon.com/TTFT show. Also check us out on anchor.fm/TTFT show, where you can get all of the streaming audio versions of these episodes. We are recording right now on anchor.fm, and you get to hear all the stuff that happens in between the takes. So we got today, this episode is Eddie's classic comedy about a man that enlists his trusty sidekick to accompany him to America to find true love. I'm of course talking about 2016 Eddie Griffin's Going to America. Did you even know this was a thing? I didn't know until I searched this on Amazon. I did not know that Eddie Griffin made a version of Coming to America.
You're just blindsiding me right now. Like I just got hit with a Mack truck, and I f***s with Eddie Griffin hard. Like I do Voodoo Child, like Malcolm and Eddie. Like I f***s with Eddie.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. But I'm glad we did that. It's one of those things where you go home and you tell your dad, I got suspended. You really didn't get suspended. You just got a D. You know what I'm saying? You soften the blow. So with that being said, guys, today this is what I would like to call, this is what we call a beach film, or and the reason why I say that you're stranded on a beach or stranded on an island film, or somewhere. They're Mount Rushmore films. This transcends film. This is, if they shot something up into the space station to another planet, Coming to America would be in that vial.
Yeah. Coming to America 1 would definitely be in that vial.
Yes, and we're also here to discuss, David, please tell them.
This episode is a double hitter. We are covering Coming to America and Coming to America, the sequel, the long-awaited, kind of surprising, out of left field sequel that happened on March 5th on Amazon.
Oh, don't sound so Debbie Downer. Now remember, Mr. Royal all through season 1 and half of season 2 has told you how he hated sequels, and now you come in here with that frown, you keep it upside down.
All right, let's move on to elevator pitch and throw it over to Mr. B.P. Carless to tell us all about this movie that we all should know about right now. Brandon.
Take it away.
All right, but Coming to America. What about
Coming
that
to
one?
America.
America. The film came out in 1988. The movie stars Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy, James Earl Jones, and Paul Bates. Paul Bates is the real MVP. We wake up in a actually we just start on a palace and you do a whole like slow circle of life. You reveal the palace and then you hear like orchestra, whatever, just playing fiddles and violins and it's waking up the Crown Prince Akeem, played by Eddie Murphy. He wakes up, flower petals at his feet when he walks around. Today is his 21st birthday. For your 21st birthday, I guess if you're a Crown Prince, you're like basically sold off to suit some political need for marriage. He doesn't even wipe his own ass, doesn't bathe himself, but he does get to his like bathers, which I guess is upside of being royalty. So he gets bathed or whatever, somebody washes his royal he goes downstairs to have breakfast with his parents, and he gets down there or whatever, and so Akeem talks to his folks about, maybe I don't want to get married. Then Arsenio Hall's character, Simi, comes out and he's like, I'm here to take homie to do our fighting with sticks practice. Arsenio's like, wait, you don't want a woman to just do whatever the hell you want? What the fuck's wrong with you? So at this engagement party, Akeem meets his bride-to-be, and she is basically like, you know, a really attractive doorknob. He asks her to like hop on one leg, and she just starts hopping on one leg. He asks her to bark like a dog. She just starts barking like a dog. His dad comes, he's like, what are you fucking doing? James Earl Jones' character is like, oh, you want to go bang out some uglies? All right, son, go bang out some uglies and come back and you get married in like 40 days. Hakeem goes back and he talks to Arsenio, and he's like, yo, Arsenio, we can go to LA, we can go to New York. Which one do you want to go to, bud? We're going to Queens!
You dumb what the fuck do you want?
We need your most meager accommodations, sir. And he's like, oh, cool, this is easy. And then you walk in, you see like chalk lines. Shame what they did to that dog, though. We'll take it, great. They go out on the town. They go to a bunch of dates. That's a fun thing. And Arsenio Hall's in drag. And then his reaction to himself in drag in that scene is,
I worship the devil.
After that, you finally get to Black Awareness Night, where Randy Watson and Sexual Chocolate.
Ain't that sweet? Ain't that so sweet?
We finally meet Lisa. She's got this ancient boyfriend, Daryl. His parents own like this weird fucking Jerry Curl product. Soul Glow Bro. Like, they hand out like donation baskets like they do at church or whatever, because the reverend's up there being creepy and Daryl passes his basket, Hakeem gets their basket, and just drops like a fucking fat stack of cash in that. Just like, because he's like mesmerized. He's met the love of his life. He goes and gets a job at McDowell's. He's never pushed a mop before. He does that. That's fucking weird. He goes to a St. John's basketball game at the Garden with fucking Lisa, and he's like double dating with Lisa and Daryl, and he's going on a date with Patrice, who's Lisa's younger sister. They're sitting there, and fucking Patrice is a thought, and she like gives him a nice little handy. Yes! I don't know if it's before or after the game, but Samuel Jackson makes an appearance in this film. Gets the kicked out of him by Hakeem. So he eventually, it's just Daryl out of the way, Hakeem does, and he and Lisa start to form this little romance they got going. There's like 2 dates or whatever before she finds out that he's actually like a crown prince or something. She's like, I don't know. I'm just no, I don't want it, Hakeem. I don't want it. Well, okay. But this is after James Earl Jones and the coolest person in the whole film show up. So Hakeem's like, I'm not getting married to that fucking bitch. Probably still hopping on one foot and barking like a dog. We've never done it that way. They get back to Zamunda. Hakeem thinks he's gonna marry Barky Dog Lady homegirl, and turns out when he lifts her veil to see who he's marrying, it's none other than the goddamn Loch Ness Monster. No, it's Lisa. It's Lisa. Lisa's there, and that's like that was a nice payoff in that film, the first film. And then after that, the second movie starts the same way the first movie does. You see the Kingdom Palace of Zamunda. Akeem and Lisa, they're still together after all this time. Akeem just gets the kicked out of him by his 3 daughters. James Earl Jones is in his bed. Akeem goes with Arsenio. Arsenio's like, you need to talk to your dad. He's like, oh, okay, I'll go talk to my dad. Because my dad's my dad. I gotta talk to my dad. So he goes to talk to his dad. Before you even see James Earl Jones, you're basically like briefed that he's not in the best health. James Earl Jones is like, we got good news for you. And this like weird witch f***ing thing, Doctor Man. You do have a son. Follow the Thunderbird, you dumb bitch. And he shows up like this half-ass drawing. Dude, that sounds solid. We gotta go follow up that lead then. And this is the point in the story where Simi finally reveals to Akeem that he basically allowed his friend to be date raped. You get the whole pumpkin pie wafting part of the scene with Leslie Jones. She's so f***ing good at her job, it hurts me physically. You finally see like Akeem's bastard son, who looks like Remy Malek The Weeknd. I don't know the name of the actor, I really don't care, but his jawline is way too strong to be an actual, like, human being. He's just got, his jawline's too strong. Anyway, so we got this weird Bruno Mars hybrid running around as Akeem's son. Strongly jawed man. So Akeem goes to New York. Akeem and his bastard son meet. I don't remember his name. I'm never gonna say it. He's just Akeem's bastard son. Before that, James Earl Jones is like, we should have my funeral early. So they have like a whole fucking Broadway street production of Rent. Wesley Snipes is, remember in the first movie, Commander Izzy? Well, now it is Commander Izzy's son, General Izzy, who is a I don't even know what kind of like cartoon Wesley Snipes is playing in this film, but it's brilliant. So you're gonna let my son marry your daughter? And Akeem's oldest daughter is like not having any of that shit because that dude's a fucking punk bitch. And she knows he's an ain't shit bitch. She's like, nah, I don't do that. And I'm like, good. They get to New York, Simi and Akeem, and where's the first place they go? Barbershop, because those dudes know where everybody's at. And one of the old dudes recognizes the like general like line drawing of this dude's like, yeah, I know that kid. He scalps tickets outside of the St. John's games. Akeem approaches his bastard son. He's like, I think you're my son. He's like, I don't. And so he takes him to his mom's house. He's like, Mom, do you know? And then she's like, it's my print. We get back to Zamunda, and of course, this dude has lived in Queens his whole life with his mom and his uncle, and basically all the kings and queens of comedy. He's kind of weirded out by things. Then he learns about the bath women, the bath ladies, and he's like, wait. So there's Prince trials. He has to go through these Prince trials, and I'm not talking like he has to play every instrument and create an album by himself. So he's introduced to this bad bitch. If Eddie Murphy doesn't say yes to an arranged marriage with Izzy and his group of people, that Izzy's gonna have Eddie Murphy assassinated. The son's down because he's just like, this is his first day of being a prince. Like, you know what the fuck's up. He goes through these princely trials, and I kind of got bored and didn't pay attention for a little bit, and I want to apologize for that. Akeem's oldest daughter is like basically been trained to be the empress or queen her entire life, so she's just like on her shit, and this dude from Queens rolls in, doesn't know dick all about shit as far as being like royalty is concerned, and daddy's just gonna give him the crown because he's got a dick. This ain't no. Yeah, it's fair. She realizes that I guess the best way to help herself is to help her brother. Helps his bastard son in concocting a plan to clip the whiskers off a lion. Tracy Morgan jumps to the conclusion that is a man-eating lion. So he passes all these trials. Akeem's bastard son overhears Wesley Snipes making some snide-ass remark about pawns in a chess game, and he takes offense to that. So he grabs his whole family, and they dip back to Queens. Goes and gets his son and the royal barber from, like, God's crack house. Like God's crack house. Akeem's bastard son marries the barber, and Wesley Snipes gets beat up by a bunch of women. People got married, traditions were changed, bull-headed people became nicer, and, you know, the world's better off.
All right, we do our research. This is everything you need to know about the movie, about the time and the place and what it took to make the movie. This was the original was June 29th, 1988. Sequel, of course, was March 5th, 2021. This was 33 years later. Other films that came out around this time of the original was Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Did we ever find out who really framed Roger Rabbit?
Well, I think it was Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, figures.
I think. The Great Outdoors, Poltergeist 3, Red Heat, George Carlin's special, What Am I Doing in New Jersey? And in June of 1988, the Suzuki Samurai was banned, canceled for hurting people, not like it would be today, hurting feelings with its cultural appropriation, but literally killing people as it was known to roll over. I actually remember that. I thought that was all Jeeps, but apparently it was that specific Suzuki Samurai. Kay Kadi, I'm going to say, is her last name, sailed into Sydney as the first woman to circle the globe alone, And our personal favorite, Mike Tyson, made the news with the family of his wife, Robin Givens, reporting that he beats her.
Go back. I thought it said something. You got me laughing as if that's funny. Go back. No, I didn't.
No, it gets funnier.
Does it?
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it wasn't funny that he beat her, but I mean, it's Mike Tyson, so everything about him is inherently funny. Because I'm just picturing the shit he was saying while he was...
I don't know that he did it.
So, well, allegedly, and then later on that month, June 17th, 10 days later, he beat the shit out of Michael Spinks. The next day, he fired the shit out of his manager, Bill Clayton. June 1988, this is the month that God gave us Michael Cera. On June 7th of this year, Mae Whitman was born 2 days later, and hence Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was able to be created a few decades after. The budget and income for Coming to Americas. The original film cost $39 million. Adjusted for inflation today would be $89 million. The sequel cost $60 million. The original film went on to make over $288 million worldwide, and who the hell knows how to calculate what the profit of the streaming sequel is. Because nothing means anything anymore, we'll just say it earned 11 gillion Amazon bucks. The original runs at 1 hour and 57 minutes, while the sequel runs at 1 hour and 50 minutes.
You sure?
I think so. The original was filmed in New York and California, and the sequel was filmed in Georgia and New York, because you cannot cheat New York.
All right, guys, you know what that brings us to? Connections. I'm not talking about Connect 4. I'm talking about how do we connect more movies together with things from pop culture to finance to everything you've been through in the entire world. Let's get straight to it. I'll go ahead and say this. When you're talking about Coming to America, the first one is where I will start at. You got to understand, guys, it's when you have a classic, you rarely want to compare a classic to anything, but at the same time, it's so beautiful how things can just transcend time and you see so much beauty. All right, so they play the Coming to America soundtrack in Ghostbusters. Connection. Boom. You want to start? You want to get started today?
Where?
They play that. When they're in New York, it's a New York, but not in Zamunda. In New York, that I guarantee you, I guarantee you, it's fact check.
I believe you.
Yeah, so the same, there's a connection between Ghostbusters and that. You know what's crazy about that is that, do your research, Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in the original Ghostbusters, but he did not. They already felt they had to comment with rest in peace, John Belushi. And then that's when we got my other guy there.
Okay.
Winston. Yes, so with that being said, oh yeah, let's go. This actually transcends both movies too, and I want people to understand this. When you're talking about connection, this is like a connection from a female and a male end as far as appliances go, because I'm finna connect both movies into one. If you notice this, when other people do cameos, yeah, they can be themselves, but you have to understand how much like legality comes into like it happened to the girl from Three's Company. When she tried to go, she couldn't be that type of character on other shows. Like, you can't go be somebody in another movie and make profit out of it. So when they did the callback in the original Coming to America of trading places with the Duke brothers, when they did that, like, it dawned on me this last time during the rewatch, like, oh, shit, I've seen this movie a billion times. They let the Mortimer were back, like they kept their names. Like, I mean, maybe that wasn't a thing back then, but eventually somebody was like, nah, you can't keep doing this. So they did that. That me up. But then also, if you notice, the Duke reference comes back again in the second movie. So I love the fact that it's the first time that I've ever seen it keep like almost like a Tarantino does, where like
it exists in its own universe.
Its own universe with from Pulp Fiction to Reservoir Dogs. So the same characters being in the thing. So all right, so.
Yeah, and him and Robert Rodriguez use like the same sheriff in every movie. It's always the same guy.
You got it. All right, so
and they had the same theme music underneath from Trading Spaces too.
Well, then that's going to be 3 times. Places. So that's 3 times. So okay, guys, we do our research, but you can fact check us if we're wrong. Hey, subscribe to the show and tell us why. Ding. All right. So with that being said, guys. Listen, there's layers to this. Me as I will tell you this. This is one of the first times, not that I think that I used to always love film. I can't say this is the first film that I loved. I will tell you this is the first film that I loved and said I want to do that. And it's not because it's some all black cast. It was just like it was so many things. He was so good. This was before I even knew he was playing all these characters and doing all these things. Like I didn't feel like I was watching a black film. I was like, this is one of the funniest. I felt like watching that is how I felt the first time I saw Steve Martin and saw these other people. I'm like the Three Amigos thing. I'm like, oh, like this is not about color. This is art at its finest, and comedy is an art. That's why to me, I didn't think comedy was an art prior to that, but then you realize that comedy is. And what I meant to say, the reason why I'm leading into that is to say this. If that inspired me, now imagine why it took so long for something like that to inspire me. So because there is a synergy in saying, okay, well, maybe I saw myself in that person, because I couldn't see myself as the three of me. I mean, I wanted to. I couldn't see myself as Superman. I mean, so what I'm telling you is this, but what I grew up to be and grew up to see myself being was a person in film, being a filmmaker and a film writer. And the reason why I say it's layers to this is because until now, for so many years, we weren't able to truly tell our stories. And even if we did tell them, they didn't get out there. So what I'm saying by this is Zamunda, is Wakanda, is Africa. Even to this day, you still really can't call it, oh, we in Africa. Mm-hmm. Like you gotta, it has to be some, because they refuse to, and who are they? Do your research. They refuse to believe like anything great can come from this. You even see how they treated Black Panther, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. You're like, what does Wakanda have to offer the world other than Disney? You're like, we will show you. So that's what I'm saying. Zamunda is Wakanda. Like, can you imagine being handicapped like that? Like being a Scottish writer, being a Chinese writer, or it doesn't matter, whatever your background is, you can't talk about, you can't tell your story. You got to make it something else. So we've been playing make-believe. Chivalry is dead. I'm going to tell all this out there. When I mean by I mean people who don't really work for what they have. It's a unisex word. But let me tell you something like this. With women, let me tell you what y'all is. Chivalry is dead. Let me tell you why. Because Hakeem sent Lisa a pair of $500,000 earrings, and they hadn't even went out on a date yet. And if any of y'all expecting that shit, you're fucking lost in the head. Chivalry is dead. End of discussion. Boom, doom, doom. Moving on.
What is that a connection to?
It's a statement.
Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. Like,
you know it's a connection to us as men.
I know he just said something. I just...
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, I'm finna blow some. You wanted when your mind was gonna get blown. Get the out of here. No, you want to know. Now your mind gets blown. Let me tell you what something when nobody want to talk about. I'm the only one on this is why our show's better than every other show out there, and you can book it. No one's put out there that we had a classic meeting for the first time on screen and nobody saw it. Motherfucking Maximilian and Blade were standing right next to each other. Wesley Snipes and Eddie Murphy, the vampire in Brooklyn, and you got two vampires right there. Like the shit was with me, bro. I'm like this. Yes. Give it to me. Make it make sense, please.
That's
okay.
A good one.
Oh, thank you. Oh yes. No. Sorry. So let me calm down. Okay. Oh, Saturday Night Live connection. Leslie Jones, Eddie Murphy. Put them together. Boom.
And Colin Jost.
Oh, yes. Look at you. Look at you.
And Tracy Morgan, for that matter.
Oh, speaking of him, love it. See, now revive. Hey, we got limits. Let's make lemonade. Because you say Tracy Morgan, you wonder why it's funny? Because that was actually one of the funniest lines from the second one. This reminded me of that skit. I don't know if you've seen it on MTV, Real World, The Gamer. Because Tracy Morgan's like, yo, I ain't going nowhere without my PlayStation. I'm like, I know so many motherfuckers that they will get the PlayStation before the toothbrush.
Dude, my brother does that. Wherever he shows up, he's got his PlayStation with him just in case.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to break your mind again? So I go from Eddie Murphy to Wesley Snipes, and I tell you that's Maximilian, and I tell you that's Blade. I'm gonna you up again. You ain't just see them a year or two before that, because I'm like, that was the first time he was on screen together ever. I'm like, nah, check that. Check your memory banks. Dolomite. My name is Dolomite. All right, Mr. Roy. All right, so I'm gonna last one.
Actually, the reason why he's in Coming to America is because
is it a favor?
No, just because Eddie Murphy enjoyed working with him so much on Dolomite.
Well, that's funny because a lot of other people said the other thing. Hold on one second. All right, so last one, huh? It made so much sense. Damn it, man. All right. So I'm.
Did you say it made so much sense?
It did. No, because I had little notes to just. Oh, I'll just do this one. Okay. One of the scenes in the second one, I'm mad because I had. So fucking mad, man. It made so much sense. I'm gonna read it and maybe you make sense of it. It said Hangover innates the term blood brothers. The movie Hangover came up with the term blood brothers. Some would say I'm reaching. Even I might admit that in this very moment. But at its very worst, it's a reach around. Something must have happened in that movie that is a reach around.
I have no idea. No.
All right, man. So anyway, all right, it, man. No, all right. The last one is that the thing said when he's doing the new Eddie Murphy's son, the Prince of Hakeem, he is saying this thing where he's trying to the Jafars. He's like Gerald Levert, James Brown, Jabba the Hutt, Jimmy Walker. But when he said that, the funny part about that was because Jimmy Walker was on Good Times, and then of course so was John Amos, but John Amos's initials are J.A. Ja. That was all right. Sorry. There we go. All right. I'm done, man. I'm gonna call you like 1 a.m. when I put that.
You started so strong, and it's great. It's almost like So I told you I could connect to Pulp Fiction. I could also connect it to Star Wars, Kanye West, and The Roots.
Oh man, you with me now. Say it one more time.
All right. Well, Pulp Fiction is Sam Jackson calls Louis Anderson Fat Boy in Coming to America. When the diner is being held up in Pulp Fiction, what does he call the waiter? He calls him Fat Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got that ambition baby look in his eyes. This week he mopping floors. Next week it's the fries.
That was that shit. Oh man,
I saw Coming to America before I heard that song. Then I went back and rewatched it. I was like, where the f*** do I know that line from?
And that's where the big bucks are.
Star Wars in Coming to America, King Jaffe says in McDowell's, "No, do not alert him to my presence. I shall deal with him myself." In 1983, Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
No, leave them to me. I will deal with them myself.
Of course, voiced by the same.
No, it wasn't. That was voiced
James
by
Earl
me.
Jones.
But I will respect. That's the only voice I respect other than me. I'm humble though.
And Roots, the barber calls Akeem Kunta Kinte in Coming to America. John Amos, Mr. McDowell, plays adult Kunta Kinte in Roots. Madge Sinclair, who played the Queen, played Kunta Kinte's wife. And James Earl Jones also played in Roots: The Next Generations in 1979.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. So, guys, those are our connections, and we dare you. After he cuts this, it makes me look so good because I had to rally because I'm mad. I'm not going to sleep tonight until I figure out what the that meant.
Yeah. Well, let me know.
It looked interesting, didn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely intriguing. All right, we have no theories for Coming to America or Coming to America, so we are going to move right past Hear Me Out into Casting Call. So I have Akeem and Semi.
I got us. No, I got us. Yeah, let me go first. I got Snapchat, which is my old list. It's done so much. Oh man, I missed this one. Remember this one? That was so fun to do that one.
Oh, V for Vendetta?
Yeah. We thought more.
It feels like 2 years ago.
You thought it was more of my weird notes?
Yeah, it takes me a second to figure out.
It's cryptic in here, but
the cipher.
For James Earl Jones, give me Uncle Phil.
Okay.
That's my cup, but I wanted them both. I did.
That would have been
awesome.
The straight to TV version of Coming to America.
No way, you're not giving them enough credit. You Lisa Bonet, Enemy of the State. So you didn't even know who I was talking about. I picture when I think of Uncle Phil and the mom from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You think about Call from Family Matters. That's what you're thinking about. Yep, and see, go ahead and admit, there it is. Gotcha. Boom, I knew it. Guilty pleasure. I fucking knew it. He was thinking about Call from Family Matters. We're talking about Uncle Phil.
I got the right guy now. Okay, yeah, I see. How the did you know my brain went there?
I just felt it.
For some reason, it's because there's I don't know why Die Hard is in my brain right
because
now.
He was the cop in Die Hard. That was Carl from Family Matters.
I know. I don't know why.
Reginald Van Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah. Boom. Oh yeah. Your turn.
We'll do Semi first.
No, you go.
Okay, Semi is I would say Ernie Hudson. I'm just thinking around that time.
Okay.
And the fact that Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in Ghostbusters, so they could have just swapped in a different universe where Ernie Hudson is playing in Coming to America.
Okay. I'm gonna do them both I'm gonna do them separately because I did both all respect. So you think we're doing Semi first?
Mm-hmm.
For Arsenio Hall, I would have liked to see Robert Townsend. He's a legend, man. He's very underrated. Does not get enough credit for his writing ability. If you go back and see how much stuff he wrote, you'd be surprised.
Okay. So you have Robert Townsend as Semi?
Yes.
Okay. Akeem for me, I think Leon could have done that. He's got like the stoic king look. You saw that in the Madonna music video. He could pull off comedy timing with cool runnings.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say, but can he make you laugh?
And he played the same kind of like the character that is like the straight character that everybody else is playing off of, and he's like ironically funny because he's a fish out of water in Cool Runnings.
He did something that I hadn't seen done. I knew who he was before, but he did that damn thing. I cannot see him as anybody other than David Ruffin for the rest of my life. That motherfucker there, man. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. God damn, man, that had to f***ing hurt. Jesus Christ, man. Okay, for me, Eddie Murphy, Keenan Ivory Wayans, or Damon Wayans.
Damon.
Damon. I was thinking Damon and wrote Keenan, but no, either one. Actually, either one. But Damon, I would take. I'm here live. I would say Damon.
And I don't know why my brain, whatever was wrong with you in the first 4 episodes, I have caught it because in my mind I'm thinking there's no way that Keenan could play that. He's large.
Oh, like, you're thinking about Keenan?
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
I don't know. Things are misfiring in my brain right now. I have no idea what's happening. I got there. I'm like, oh, Wayans.
Wait, the Wayans. Yeah, so that would be me. But yeah, those were, I think, yeah.
In that case, Keenan Ivory could have definitely done it.
Yeah, Oh, that's why you went so, like, no. Yeah. Okay, I get Keenan Ivory. I like Damon, though. You make me think about Damon. So, yeah, guys, those.
I mean, I kind of want to see Kenan Thompson. But there's 3 things here. Louis Anderson is in the film due to Paramount mandate to include a white comedian. They gave Murphy and Hall 3 choices to choose from. The other 2 options were never revealed to the public. Vanessa Williams was originally considered for Lisa.
I can see that.
Sidney Poitier was considered for the role of King Jaffe. All right, that's casting call. Let's move on to...
And no, don't forget, in the comments, guys, let us know who you would have liked to switch out with or swing with, if you know what I swing. Let's go.
Who you'd like to swap with.
There you go. Come swap out the characters and the roles and role play with us.
All right, pop quiz hot shot. This is 10 facts about Coming to America. The first 5 will be about the first movie. The last 5 will be about the sequel.
Zamunda, the fictitious Zamundan Film Commission, is thanked in the credits. Zamunda actually came from a Richard Pryor, rest in peace, great goat, routine, where he referred to a fictional African tribe of the same name.
All right, number 4, I'm loving it. John Amos, who plays Cleo McDowell, has a long history with McDonald's in reality, working at the first ever McDonald's in Canada and also starring in a famous McDonald's commercial in 1971, doing a song and dance to the song Grab a Bucket and a Mop. The mop bucket scene in the movie was an in-joke reference to that commercial.
That's funny.
Number 3, straight up. Paula Abdul was the dance choreographer on this film. That's a real fact.
No, I'm laughing because Paul Mooney was like, no, Paula Abdul, straight up, let me tell you. She's a nigga. Remember the routine? That's what I knew he got straight up, let me tell you.
Abdul sounds like it could have been a character name in the movie.
All right, you're all right. Tread lightly, David.
Does it not? Does it not? Number 2, King and Queen. James Earl Jones, who plays King Jaffe, also played King Mufasa in The Lion King. Madge Sinclair, rest in peace, who played the Queen in Coming to America, also played his wife in The Lion King as Queen Sarabi. And number 1, working title, Coming to America was originally called The Quest. And it's funny, if you watch the bloopers at the end of Coming to America, the sequel, you could see that on the clapper that says The Quest on there. So it was almost like they went back to that original title that they had to keep the sequel a secret if any like set photos were to get out.
Are you talking about the same clapper that Leslie Jones did the Pac-Man bite to?
All I think about when I think of Leslie Jones is wafting over the candle. That moment belonged in the original movie.
Yeah.
Which, that'll get...
Okay, that was good. You're right.
All right, here's 5 facts about the sequel. Number 5, From Prince to King. Eddie Murphy was 58 years old at the time of shooting the sequel. This was the age of James Earl Jones at the time of the original's production. Number 4, Rick. The Palace was shot at Rick Ross's real home in Georgia, sitting on over 300 acres of property. It was dressed up to fit the film's themes, and Ross liked the new wallpaper in the dining room so much he asked for it to be left up. Also, a 60-foot dining room table built for the film was left behind as a gift. Number 3, Wakanda Ties. Black Panther director Ryan Coogler kickstarted the idea for a sequel in Eddie Murphy's mind. While Murphy didn't like Coogler's idea for the sequel, he obviously liked the idea of a sequel. Coogler's sequel would have involved Michael B. Jordan.
Man.
Number 2, Family Heir. Eddie Murphy's daughter, Bella Murphy, plays Akeem's middle daughter, Oma. And number 1, part 3. Eddie Murphy already teased that he has an idea for Coming to America 3, but he has no intention of making it until he is 75. So we can look forward to the trilogy being complete in the year 2036.
See you there, friend. I'll pay you $1 million for one night to have sex with your wife. Guys, this brings us into our next segment, and that was an indecent proposal, but this is going to be a decent segment. 7 Minutes in Heaven. Dave, tell us what that is.
7 Minutes in Heaven is our favorite scenes in the movie. In this segment, since we're doing 2 movies, I've picked 3 scenes for each movie. So that'll be a total of 12 scenes today.
You go ahead and start. You go ahead and start, sir.
These first 3 are from the original. My first one is the I'll say my number 3 is the wedding ceremony. The dance that some people say, like I watched Cinema Sins, they did a video on the dance, or they did a video on everything wrong with Coming to America, and one of the things that they pointed out was how long that dance was during the wedding ceremony in the original.
I'll sum that up with a conjunction. And?
Yeah. I think one of the things that makes it so humorous to me is that it keeps going, and it keeps cutting, like, that, and it was just f***ing awesome. And that dance was a sped up rendition of Michael Jackson's Thriller dance, which John Landis also directed. He directed Coming to America and the Thriller video. Then you go into Queen to Be, and then one of the funniest moments of James Earl Jones's entire career when he turns around so impatient, let them wait. That was one of my first impressions I started doing. That was one of my first ones. I'm talking to my son. That was you two are getting along swell. Yeah, that whole thing was great.
Son, I know I never brought this up, but I always assumed you had sex with your betas. I know I do. Not did. Yeah. Do. Yeah. Not did. Do. All right, so that was just a one off there, but for me, I'll start here. And most people, and see, like I say, guys, this is why you come to our show, not first to tell you just the scenes that everybody talks about. But here's the thing, Mr. McDowell is so emphatic that him and the people have, and I know you think I know where I'm going, but I'm finna f you up. He's so emphatic that him and the McDonald's people have this problem, which clearly they do. You know, he explains all that stuff or whatnot. You know the lines, the arcs, and all that other stuff. But it's about a good 45 minutes later in the movie. And somebody, I can't remember who walks in the office on him, but you clearly see it says McDonald's training manual. Like it shows their whole business plan. Like he's reading it. He has the glasses down. So as much as he hates them, talking about they got a misunderstanding, he's studying their like. First of all, how'd you get it? How'd you get you? I promise you,
I never noticed that.
It doesn't say McDonald's. It says McDonald's training manual, and McDonald's like some business man. It says business manual. I'm like,
is this like when he comes in about the football game or the basketball game?
No, it's after that, and that's what I thought too. It's not then he's doing something. It's later on for some reason. If I don't know, I think Lisa comes up to him or something, but I do know that says McDonald's training manual or something. When you put the shit up there, now there you go. I promise you. Yes.
I'm either gonna put that scene up there or a big.
I guarantee you on all the connections I've ever made, it's 100% fact. It says McDonald's.
You cannot cheat Father Crime Time.
Damn it, that did happen one time.
My number 2 scene is the okay. Now what the f do you want? When he opens up. He is so that dude is so funny. And then the guy rolling down the stairs like, "Hey, Stu, you rest, Stu, motherfucker, and don't be pulling that phone down the stairs." And the guy is literally, he is unconscious. Like he kind of comes to a little bit, falls out again. But yeah, that whole scene where they
obviously you boys came in on a different boat.
Yeah, a little bit more of that. What did he say when?
You talking about when they're in the apartment?
Yeah. Okay. So. this is a place I was telling you about. It's real f***ed up. One window facing a brick wall.
I used to rent it to a blind man.
Now that is untrue, because the very next scene, we see Hakeem walk out onto the balcony from one window to say good morning, where, he...
True.
Good morning, hey, f*** you. Yes, but f*** you too.
Yes.
But we see Semi looking out the other window, and then we see a third window. So there are at least 3 windows in that apartment that are not facing a brick wall. They are facing, like, the main street.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a very good point. I never thought about that. I will say this, though. I think the original reason why they said it, because it was a setup on it was almost felt like an In Living Color type of joke because of the dog and everything, the edged-out dog and the man on the ground. So, yeah,
it was just
very good. That was very
It was just one more thing to make the apartment shitty in the dialogue, but they didn't.
I know what happened. When I write in all caps, I know what happened. None of my other stuff is in all caps. I saw that shit, I'm like, the f*** out of here. Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you something right now. The most disrespectful thing anybody can ever do to you as a human being is not what they call you, is spitting on somebody. Like, it's all bets are off. Like, like, you should never put your hands on a woman unless that bit. Like, if you get spit on, you're inhumane now. You lost gender. You're talking about fluidity. A, B, C, A through Z. Add all the letters to the LGBTQ, all of them. Because if you get spit on, it's go time. So that's the most disrespectful. What do you think the second most disrespectful thing you can do to somebody is?
But going down that vein, getting pissed on?
No.
On?
Throwing a strawberry milkshake on somebody with no lid on it. No, did you see? You hand someone a milkshake.
Yeah.
You put it, bro. He threw it like, hey, take care of this for me. By the time you said, hey, it was 7 feet in the air. And Simi, who had really not laughed or disrespected Hakeem the whole movie, even he was like, he couldn't even.
The thing is, even if he were to catch that like gracefully, it still would have ended up all over.
It was no lit, bro. It was no, and this was what fucking with me. That was one take, Tony. You know they couldn't redo that, because they weren't gonna keep giving them clothes and shit like that.
Yeah,
that's why Simi was like, they probably was like, it's never gonna work. That shit worked here, so they had to keep it. Hey man, take care of this, bro. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that sets him up as like he's a prick.
Oh,
through and through.
Oh, he was a prick when he came and he was. Sorry, go ahead, man. I'm crying, man. I've seen this a million times. God.
My number 1 is the sexual chocolate show. The turn around, ladies. Show them there's a god. That whole.
No, please keep going. I want to hear it. No, I want to hear it. No, I'm cool with it. Go ahead. Go. I want to hear it.
I'm just letting the audience know when. But what makes that scene so great is when the woman next to them like abruptly stands up like, yes, Lord, and their reaction like, what the hell? Like they've never been in
that type of ceremony.
Yeah.
Never been to a Baptist church.
The other great thing about that is that if you look at everybody in the audience, the only person that is excited about this performance is Sweets. Like,
oh, he loves it. He loves that man. He loves it, and that's continuity through both films too. He loves that man. This man was my reverend when I was a little boy, and I love him. And like, I'm the he did this.
That froze him. He was like the Matrix broke down for a moment for him.
All right, now you do yours differently, because I don't number my scenes. To me, it was just like we talked about. There were so many, and like I said, that if I have other scenes, but if I don't say this, then it's going to be a disservice to our whole show and us as fans and everything. It's not one. It's you combine. I would put this in the not even. I'm okay. I wouldn't say maybe top 10 scenes of all time in the film, but as far as comedy goes, these scenes into the top 10. The barbershop scene are top 10 all time. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. Like you said, you can't even call the fact that when you learn someone's improvised lines over and over. That wasn't in the script. I'm pretty sure it was scripted, but they went like, "No, you did. Yes, I did. No, you did. Who's next?" Like he couldn't win the argument, so he had to go to something that he comes in. You got Cuba Gooding Jr. sitting in the chair, not saying a fucking word.
Like, he's not even touching his hair.
No. He's going. He said he told me Joe lives 136 years old. Like, I mean, everything that happens, and like I said, and again, the ultimate cameo is that Cuba Gooding Jr. sitting in the chair, not saying.
Yeah.
He's sitting there getting his hair cut, and then motherfucker looks at him, he said, "Hey man," he said, "God damn, boy, what you putting in here? God, I do nothing. That's my natural hair." He's like, what this is? Look, actually, like, no, this is juices and baby. Oh, shit ain't nothing but oat sperm. That's the Jackie Brown boy. You want one of them, motherfucker? And he's like, just make it nice and neat. That'll be $8.
So there was a scene with Cuba Gooding where that got cut out, where like he gets the back of his, he accidentally shaves a part of the back of his head or something like that.
And speaking of that, really quick, was the fact that talk about being motivated. Like you're on set with all these icons and you can't say a word. Talk about, hey, I'm gonna kill my next audition.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to start with one of the things it's maybe an honorable mention here. I want to give a Guinness. If Guinness Books doesn't get their ass to Zamunda immediately, we just saw the longest continuous bark of any human in history. That talk about that's not even a callback. That's a rotary phone back. Like,
yeah,
she came in that motherfucker like, and then she went hyena on this motherfucker. Like, she's still there. Like, she didn't leave.
That I thought was pretty. That was pretty clever. Yeah, have that.
Okay, so that's just my honorable mention. Don't go yet. You only have 2, remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there we go. You might okay. All right. That's okay. I looked at the first ever selfie. And what I mean by the first ever selfie is Akeem's son. Remember from the first film, they were like, when I tell you the boy has his own money. And that was just money. But Akeem's son picks up a gold bar and looks at himself. So he sees his reflection in the image of his father, which he never knew. It's like the first year, it's a selfie. Like it made me think about how he held it up. I was like, it's a phone. Like, he still see himself. A selfie. You're looking at, you see yourself in the money? There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So
okay. I'll say my number 2 scene is when his son gets the lion. This for the sequel, I thought this was one of the few parts that stood on its own to be an interesting scene, like development. I thought it was cool the way he used what he knew from where he was from to succeed in the challenges that he has now, and. So you have this like it's kind of like a Karate Kid feeling almost from the 80s. You're watching somebody overcome something, and then it comes back to the Coming to America comedy where that it's just like pointed, where Tracy Morgan just screams out what we're all thinking, like, this is ridiculous. My nephew could be eaten by a lion. So he's very angry about that, but then the punchline is he's even more upset. There ain't even no spread, no lunch trays up here.
I did feel him on that. Like, what the fruits and like I definitely felt him on that. Now this is another honorable mention because I think you'll appreciate this. I don't know if you caught this part. You remember how, again, I told you always I don't like sequels, and you've been more forgiving of sequels and been more accepting, and clearly you're speaking your mind on how you feel about this.
There's a flip side to that coin.
There's a flip side to that coin because the film itself, which you have to give some credence to, which may change your overall opinion at the end when I say this, they actually called themselves out on it. There's a scene where they're like, nobody wants to see a remake that they didn't really want made. We're like, now there's some exceptions. There's this, there's that. So they give you that satire in that scene. I'm like, okay, they did it. And like they say sequels that no one wanted or remakes that no one said. So the fact they called themselves out about it is, and I'll talk about it later, I thought that was very clever. But I thought it was clever.
That's like the equivalent of somebody saying like, I don't mean to be an asshole, but and then they proceed to say something that's like,
or the ultimate, hey, no disrespect.
Just all right. Well, no disrespect, and just shh.
But I like the fact that they address it. See, you got to be. Here's the thing: you still got to be courageous enough to address it, and they did. Like how many times we say like, because guess what? At the end of the day, that's the discussion. People are going to say they shouldn't have did it. Remember when you first told me about this? I said I don't want them to do it, but I was coming from a place where I hope they don't think they can even match or top this, because there's a reason why there's records in the top of Mount Everest. Nobody's going to top it because it's the top of Mount Everest. So just tell me what you're trying to do, but we'll get there later. So I will say this really quick before I get to my number 1 was I love one of the best cameos in this film, and there were so many cameos. Jesus Christ, you may not understand this because I know you don't do the sports thing, but Dikembe Mutombo was in this movie. Somebody tried to go somewhere, and this motherfucker was like, no. Yeah, go ahead, it's okay. That's his thing. He puts his finger up. Look at me. Everybody, all my sports fans out there, do it with me. No. When you go look this up, you're gonna fucking freak the out. No.
My number 1 is the evening that when Lisa and Akeem are in bed after she's surprised by the arrival of his son and Leslie Jones. When he nudges her, he's like, I had a very long and tiresome trip. I thought maybe you might want to. It's like, but that when his response to her just shunning him, that was like the Eddie Murphy that I came to see in that moment. He's like, all right, crazy of me to even ask. I love you, my sweet. Sweet dreams, my sweet. And then he lays there and there's like that beat and he goes, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He gave it to you another time. He did. I'm trying to remember when he did it again, but that was very awesome scene.
All right, what was your number one?
Number one. It was very hard for me, and I'm not being funny when I say this because it's like I say in to me, it was the mopping scene. When Eddie went back, King went back and he was mopping, and we got him and John Amos, because people truly do not understand when you have two icons and two legends from two basically different. Like, to us, Eddie Murphy's the OG, but before Eddie Murphy being OG, there were OGs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And before the people we lived, the Ben Stillers of the world, there were Jerry Stillers. Before though, you know what I'm saying, though, like the Chevy Chases of the world, Sidney Poitier's, the Robert Towns of the world. Like we've seen so many things, but when you have two icons come together, and then to me, like you say, while people will have their opinions about the sequel, to me it still goes back to the writing. And at the end of the day, I will talk about that later, that scene to me made me feel. Now, and here's the crazy part about it. It made me feel something that the first film did not make me feel. And I'm being honest with you, because the first film was such a classic, and yet it had touching moments. But this wasn't touching to me. This was like, you knew this is the last time you was gonna see Eddie Murphy and John Amos on the screen together. And not even just that. Forget that. Okay, you want me to take that part away from? I'll take.
I'm like a Catholic boy. I didn't come here to be touched.
All right. Well, listen. But you did, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you, but you did. Let me tell you why. Because again, remember. I don't even have to say remember. I'm telling you, sir, that this scene here touched on so many levels because of the fact Eddie said, you know, mopping gave me so much. It reminds me so much of peace and this and that. Even you brought it up earlier with the mopping, like how it was a callback to something John Amos did. Mm-hmm. So my point to this, it's like the ultimate call. What happened when two people? This ultimate game of tag. You literally have these two icons there, and so we're saying the mop means something from 30 years ago, but John Amos is saying, nah, this is from 50 years ago, 60 years ago for me. So that scene, to see two legends there, and for it to be a sequel, not a different movie, but to be a sequel of the direct movie, and then to have that conversation, there were no jokes in that scene, and they truly just, right before he walks out, he says, Akeem, what do you think your mother would have said? And see, that wasn't lost on me. They saved that moment because there was no mention of his mother up until that point at all.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah, right. And so for me to be saying that's my best scene in Coming to America, which is not a considered a comedic scene, I'm just saying that I'm proud of that moment that they had.
All right, what were your favorite scenes in Coming to America and Coming to America? Put them in the comments. Talk about it. Help our algorithm. And let's move on to You Are Going to Need a Bigger Boat. These are our favorite lines from the film. Just like with 7 Minutes in Heaven, we've broken this down. These are five favorite lines from Coming to America and 5 favorite lines from Coming to America.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think I'll go ahead and just get this one out of the way. I'm the only one that should be allowed to say this. They've been taking this from me since I was born. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
The royal privates are clean. Yes.
All right. Look at you. Go for it, brother.
You nailed this in the intro to the episode, and when he knocks Sam Jackson on the ground, or before he knocks Sam Jackson on the ground, Akeem says, "I warned you. I will be forced to thrash you." And he says that so calmly. I will be forced to thrash you.
What?
Like, thrash is such a violent word, and he says it.
He's so serious and so calmly. Yeah. Forced to thrash you.
That's my number 5.
Oh, awesome, man. Awesome. Wait a minute. Are we going back and forth, or just the first movie?
First movie.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Believe me, I tied my own shoes once. It's an overrated experience. Like, what the does that mean? Followed by, I remember when I ordered your first diaper change. Like, are you f***ing kidding me, bro? So you've never...
When I was watching this today, Angela was watching with me, and that part came on. I was like, that's where that motherfucker said that from. It's in the movie. It's on our YouTube channel in the highlights from season 1. The video that plays for the trailer for this channel. It was such a it was in the random thing that said, I tied my own shoes once. Right. It sounded so funny out of context. I didn't realize what the context was. And then I put 2 and 2 together when I saw the movie today. I told Angela, I was like, he speaks I guarantee 95% of the that comes out of his mouth is things from movies, and I just don't know it half the time.
It might be true. That's true.
Tennachi, Father Crime Time.
Damn it, man! I'm never living that one down.
My number 4 is when you think of garbage, think of Akeem.
Yeah, that is more than classic, bro.
I mean that is a persona, or that is like, it's a metaphor for what he's doing in the movie. Like, he is bringing himself from royalty, and he wants to be viewed as common man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was not only funny but poetic.
I'm gonna say a line that this movie spun. It resonated through the black community for decades. Out of all the lines in this movie, there's one line that people still use, and they don't even know where they get it from, because that's a segue from what you just said. What is that, velvet? Like, when people used to wear like fake stuff to school, people like, what the is that, velvet? Like, clearly it's cotton, but it's a knockoff. So what is that, velvet? Everybody riding that. What is it, velvet?
I'll give my number 3 to Big Brother Jake, who scarred me as a child, who only knew him as Big Brother Jake. He gets out of the taxi when Akeem says, "Halt!" He gets out, "You dumb f***." And then to put the cherry on top of the cake, what's a dumb f***? What is a dumb f***?
To put the cherry on top of that cake is when the callback to it, when the guy gets out, he tries to, like, oh no, you got to go through the app. You got to get through, like what the f***? Like, okay.
Oh, wait, I want to know what Big Brother Jake's response was to what is a dumb f***. I would love to know his definition. I don't know. Probably not.
I was saying, they couldn't get him. That would have been great. Shout out to John Amos. Your little goat herder makes Daryl look like a welfare case. Oh my God. Your little goat herder makes Daryl look like a welfare case.
Yeah. Man, when he slams the door in his face, when he's there to see her, he looks the puppy dog out in the rain look. He's got that down.
And speaking of puppy dog, Daddy, get him!
My number 2 is Semi. Now let's see if you can defend yourself, you sweat from a baboon's balls.
I love that.
I used that as a child. That was like a go-to insult for me. Sweat from a baboon's balls. Because like you say, they don't cuss there.
No.
But if that is like their cursing right
It
there.
is.
He's pretty much called him a son of a bitch or something.
I concur. I 100% concur. 4 words. You grown a mustache. Like, when's the last time you saw your fucking son? Mm-hmm. Mustaches don't grow overnight. Believe me, I know.
Yeah.
And not even, he had an Action Jackson mustache going on right now. Shout out to that Carl Weathers. He had a Action Jackson mustache. You've grown a mustache. Mm-hmm. Jesus, Jaffe.
He's probably never. That's like you saw his reaction when he got up and walked closer to him.
What is he doing? Yeah. And then he hits him with that was the first halt. Halt! That's why when he came to America, he was like, halt!
And that's the second time that Eddie Murphy has been asked if he's grown a mustache. I think somebody in Coming to America, or not Beverly Hills Cop, had the same line for him when he showed up with the mustache.
When he shows back up into Beverly Hills, out of Detroit. Very good call. I like that.
My number 1 goes to pretty much every single line in the barbershop. Specifically, I really like Clint Smith, Sweet's character, because there's all this chaos happening in the barbershop, and Sweets is like, oh man, you ain't never met no Frank Sinatra. He's saying it so calmly and subtly under his breath. F*** you. F*** you. Yeah, that was good.
I just love the fact, and they'll see this in the interview later, like, the fact that we talk, like, they're friends. I did not know him and Eddie Murphy were best friends in high school. Like,
I didn't know that either.
Choose your friends wisely, kids. All right, and with that being said, I don't have numbers by mine, but one of the ones that I mean, to me, really, like, I have 2 of them. Honorable mention yet again to, hey, you know, I'd have helped you yesterday, but I had a cup of hot coffee in my hand or whatever. Like, what the f*** did that have to do with anything, dude? But no, you really did it this time, Lisa. You hit the jackpot. Like, damn, bro. Yeah, let's go there, man. Yeah, man. Jesus,
I don't care where you're from. This is America.
Jack.
You keep talking about my daughter.
He ain't got enough money to buy me nonsense.
Yeah.
Jaffe, apologize. I will not. The man is beneath me, and so is his daughter.
James Earl Jones is. He's on
they ain't
fire.
cursing, but they are gut wrench and
I can imagine somebody saying that about it. Like Adeline. No, I've been calling Adeline my princess, the queen for her whole life. Some man walk into my house and say she is beneath me. I'm like,
he didn't get to her yet. The man is beneath me, and so is his daughter. Like Jesus, he didn't even look at him when he said it.
yeah,
Man.
he's talking to his wife like they're not even there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. So that was the first film. Are we going back to the second film now?
Yeah, now for the second film, I was only able to come up with 2 lines.
All right, for me, for the second film, while you were trying to embrace it and enjoy it for the first time, there were several lines to me that truly did stand out. Like a black woman in any community, if a black woman calls another black woman a it's all out. And I ain't talking about, oh, that's my bitch. I'm talking about like, nah, you a it's all out war. Mm-hmm. But this just is a secret. Let me pull you in on a little veil. Black women can talk to themselves however the they want to do, as proved by Leslie Jones, when she says, y'all know I was a hoe. I was a hoe out in these streets. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's okay if you say it. And it felt good. It wasn't like nobody calling her a hoe or crackhead and that. Y'all know I was a was.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You might be. Y'all know I was a hoe.
There it is.
And they all not her family.
Like, it was the 80s. Yeah.
All right, I'll give. So I guess my number 2, Calvin Duke. Colin Jost. He's like, scientist. Bill Nye and what's his name? His son's like the science guy. And then he said, well, and your guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Your guy, like the author of everything that black people think about. The voice and the soul of the chi of black people is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Get the fuck out of here. Jesus Christ, man. When the King's leaving the barbershop and he's mean to all the barbers in the Mighty Sharp, and he leaves out, and then Eddie Murphy himself says, "Who the hell he think he might be king of Zamunda, he the king of this barbershop." And then Arsenio Hall's character, you gotta hear, he said, "King, shit, dog named King." When he said that, it just put it in such respect. Like, anybody can call themselves king. So yeah, that was one of the lines for me right there.
My number 1 is in the barbershop where Keen says that, your black president has reunited this country, and the Eddie Murphy barber, he's like, well, it's all going to hell now. The other guy's like, we're all going to die, just don't know how. It's like
that was the subtle.
Up 20 to like
20.
Yeah,
that joke hit right on time. That'll age well.
Yeah,
that'll age well. And my last one was and like I said, I didn't put these in order, but to me, every time they said it made me laugh. Uppity bitch say what? Uppity bitch say what? Ah! Like that, it was just so funny. And then the fact that they called it back at the end, and Lisa said it to Eddie. She was like, uppity bitch say what? He was like, what? She was like, oh. Yes. That's so, guys. Those were our lines. You're gonna need a bigger boat. You're gonna need bigger boats.
Yeah, you're gonna need 2 boats. What were your favorite lines in the movies? Let us know in the comments. Alright, it is time for Scene Stealers. These are our favorite actors, actress, artists in the films. Bring the board up, and who's on the board? Vanilla Sky, first episode, we have Cameron Diaz.
CD is what we call it.
Tropic Thunder put Robert Downey Jr. on the board.
Lincoln Osiris.
Django Unchained had Christoph Waltz joining the Board of Champions.
Thank you, sir.
And now we are doing Coming to America. So, I got an honorable mention to Clint Smith, Sweets, because I feel like he's just an underrated performance. With everything else going on, he's so quiet that he can easily be looked over, but he is consistently great, both in the first one and the second one.
I'm going to go ahead and start with my my honorable mention, of course, and I guess this is kind of clearly, let's just go ahead and talk about what we're here to talk about. We know how this film was, so my honorable mention here would be Arsenio Hall, and for several reasons. Is because, number one, he doesn't fancy or consider himself an actor. If you really want to laugh, watch Harlem Nights with Arsenio Hall. He will trip you the out. Please. But with that being said, what I took into consideration is what I didn't think about when I first watched the movie when I was a child. I didn't think they were speaking in an accent. I just thought that they were naturally speaking. And then remember we did you brought up Ryan Coogler earlier, but remember it was actually rest in peace. It was Chadwick Boseman who fought for them to have the African accent in Black Panther, instead of them sounding like Americans or whatnot. And so with this, to me, Arsenio, who's not an actor, had to learn this. Also had the fight scenes and you know what I'm gonna say. We giving a shout out to Eddie Murphy playing all these characters. Well, he played Arsenio played 3 or 4. So that was my honorable mention. I don't think he gets enough credit for the work he's done and what he's done. And not to mention, like I said, kids, if you only know Arsenio Hall from this, you clearly don't remember the era of the Arsenio Hall show. So yeah, he's my honorable mention.
Yeah, Arsenio Hall put me to sleep every night in a good way. It was like a tradition. It was a bedtime tradition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you want to clean that up a little bit more? Because you were out and then you went back in.
What do you mean?
You cleaned it up and then you went back.
It was a bedtime tradition?
Yeah, just to say you cleaned it up and you went back.
No, I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Take it as you will.
You will not stop, will you? Go ahead.
I give my scene stealer to Eddie, which I hate giving it to the lead of the movie because I feel like it's so predictable, but I mean, he's bringing Akeem to life, Randy Watson, Saul, Clarence, the barbershop owner, and the spectrum that he pulls out in just these characters alone, from Akeem, the positive, smiling, always happy, Clarence, the polar opposite, being angry, negative. They're both very loud and passionate about what they believe in. Randy is just horny, Randy. Saul is complacent and reserved. I just think that and in both films too, I mean, especially in the original, but it was classic Eddie Murphy, and at his finest, at his prime, doing. Yeah, it has to go to Eddie. Mm-hmm. Tell me you have somebody other than Eddie.
I don't. I really don't. I'm not even gonna try to play up on that. One last shout out to Arsenio, for him playing one other role we forgot to mention. I want to tell you apart. You and your friend. And then they cut right back to him spitting it out. Yeah. Like that. See,
he's one of the few actors that get to do a spit take on himself.
Right. Like, but no, you hit it right. My I do have someone different. My scene still goes to Edward Reagan Murphy. Nobody ever drops it. Yes, I see why he drops the middle name. I see why he did that. Yeah. But with that being said, it goes to him due to the fact that everything you said. Again, he. Just icon, man. I mean, literally, I'm never at a loss for words. But guys, like I say, this is not just textbook. This guy, we never. If you've seen our show, just because you're the lead doesn't mean you get to get on this board. But with this character having to age, like, ask yourself, when have you went 30 years in between a character and you still gave a damn?
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much. I mean.
Yeah, I would give it to Eddie for Randy Watson alone. I want to see a Randy Watson biopic.
Like, what really happened in those 30 years to Randy?
Yeah, follow him around.
Clearly, he got into bedazzling.
It could be like that Will Ferrell movie, Semi-Pro. Like, I would imagine it being like up to that being a comedy.
Oh yeah, the Tropic Bowl. Yeah.
The Has-Been, Randy Watson. Like, yeah, please make that.
Can you not just see him in practice? 1, 2. Don't f me today. Yeah. 1, 2.
I mean, Randy Watson during the Me Too movement, Randy Watson gets Me Too. There's your movie right there.
That's why he disappeared. And speaking of that, what nobody wanted to talk about, see, again, this is the serious moment of the show for teaching. Had that been reversed, like, think about it. She got him high and drunk and f***ed up to f*** him. Had that been the reverse, that's not funny, and now there is a problem.
Yeah.
Double standard, but hey, who am I?
I want to give honorable mention to Tracy Morgan and Wesley Snipes being the highlights of part 2 for me. Especially Wesley Snipes. That entrance.
Oh, dude. And what did I tell you? And I don't care if he sees this because, hey, listen, I'm probably going to be in the same situation in a few years. That's how you step out of tax problems. That motherfucker came in that.
Yeah.
I got my receipts, man. I ain't got them 2 whiskers from that tiger, but I got the 2 checks for the IRS.
All the way to the last dance he does where he's like blasting the pelvic thrust everywhere.
I mean, God. Was that Wesley Snipes or Wesley Pipes? Who the was slinging that? Damn, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God. Help us all.
All right, so congratulations to Eddie motherfucking Murphy for
it's going to be hard now, man. The rest of the board has a lot to live up to now. Which is why we don't normally just, throw. Yeah.
I mean, Christoph Waltz, RDJ. I mean, who... all right, who is your favorite actor in the movie, or actress, or artist? Who's your favorite character that Eddie Murphy played? Throw those in the comments, and let's get on to Guess Who Are You?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very astute and honored guest here today. If you could, please, Mr. Polanski, Mr. Durden, tell us who we have here today, because he is one of the reasons why I decided to jump into the industry. And if without him, who knows what I'd be doing now. Bring us in.
Our guest today is a screenwriter, producer, and director, making Hollywood magic for 4 decades. You've definitely enjoyed his work if you've seen Saturday Night Live. He's also a frequent collaborator with Eddie Murphy, writing Coming to America 1 and 2, Boomerang, and The Nutty Professors.
He is a king to be, and of course, we are honored to have him. Thank you very much to Mr. Barry Blaustein for joining us today.
It's nice to be here. I should mention all those movies I co-wrote with my writing partner, David Sheffield.
Very humble.
Very humble. So I can learn from that. Very humble.
Share the credits. You got to share the credits.
Yeah, absolutely. In 1988, Coming to America was released. It's the reason why we are here today. What is the origin story for how that movie came into reality?
We were pitched, and from the time we were pitched the movie to the time it came out in the theaters was less than a year.
Wow.
That, for better or for worse, is the first draft of the script. But Eddie pitched us this idea that he had, and he had written about 20 pages handwritten, and he said, you can use whatever you want of this. And we went to New York to meet with Eddie, and Arsenio was there too, because Arsenio was already involved with the project. And we met for like 4 days, working out beats, talking about stuff. And then Dave and I wrote it. We handed it in on Labor Day weekend, and that Tuesday, because the studio was closed on Monday, that Tuesday, the studio called us up and said, we're making the movie. We start shooting in January.
That is amazing, man, to hear an origin story like that. People don't understand. It doesn't always happen like that, but when it does.
No, it didn't happen on the new one that way. You get spoiled.
Yes.
But in the back of my mind, I always go, look, I was left alone. Dave and I were left alone. We produced a movie, and we wrote a movie that's had along. Right.
I got you. Yeah.
And then when I did Beyond the Mat, I was left alone, which that's one of the reasons I love doing it. There's no one from the studio. It was really done as a favor to me from Imagine.
And you can speak to this unlike most people can. Let me ask you this now. With Coming to America, that marked the first time of many times that Eddie Murphy would portray multiple characters in the same film. Now, were the characters written with that in mind, or did the idea come later in the process?
No, they were written with him in mind.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, they definitely play to his strengths. I wasn't sure if that was just happy happenstance or not.
You must be out your mind.
I want Randy Watson to be real.
Randy Watson is real, man. He is real, man.
You know what was funny was when he pitched the barbers to us. Eddie's a barber and the old Jew, and Arsenio's in there, and there's another barber there who's Eddie's best friend from high school, named Clint Smith.
Sweets.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Great.
Also loves Randy Watson.
Loves Randy.
That boy good. But he pitched the bar. But Eddie and Clint used to be around the offices in Saturday Night Live, always doing these characters. They were called Clint and Edmund, and they were never barbers, but they were bad showbiz performers, bad pimps, and they were always fighting among each other. And he said the barber should be like Clint and Edmund. And it was very easy for Dave and I to write those characters because we'd heard them doing it for 3 years.
Yeah, it seemed to be very naturally flowing. Organic. The comedy seemed very organic.
You know, I was watching the new one, and Clint's in it too. And I just noticed Clint all the time. Clint just goes, "That's right, that's right."
I was so happy that when Randy Watson started performing, I was waiting for Clint. I was waiting for Sweets because he was the only person that was happy to see Randy Watson in the original movie. He's like the one fan. I was so happy that you guys brought that back. In researching for this, I saw a New York Times article about a judge ruling in favor of a humor columnist named Art Buchwald regarding this is regarding the claim that Paramount Picture, and this is also on IMDb too. A claim that Paramount Pictures used his idea from a 2-page outline he wrote called King for a Day. It's not beyond us that two people could have a similar idea for a similar story and it be purely coincidental. And even so, there's so many nuanced details that come into America is what makes it great, aside from the bones of it. So if you're able to speak on it, we'd love to know your side of that situation.
Well, I didn't hear, we would never, David and I had no knowledge of this Art Buchwald thing until the movie came out and we weren't sued, but Paramount was sued. And I didn't read his outline until I had to testify.
Okay.
And I read his outline, and the reality is everything in a movie is execution. You can have, I said in this example, one year there were 4 movies with an adult changed bodies with a kid. The first 3 of them failed. The 4th one, where you thought people would be tired of this, I think it was a big success. And it was big because it was executed well. But I read Art Buchwald's outline, and first of all, there's nothing original about the story of Coming to America. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
If the Grimm brothers estate wanted to sue me, I go, well, they have a point there.
Yeah, it's a classic fish out of water story.
Fish out of water, right. And his story was also very hurtful because he was saying I should get credit for the story and I want my money back. Right? I had to pay $7.90, $8 for the stinker. So he wanted credit, but still would knock the film. And I read his outline, and his outline was about a king who comes to America to buy weapons. And I said, well, in our movie, he's coming to America to find true love, trying romance. When in his version in the United States, he gets overthrown while he's in the United States. And he falls in love with a hooker. Because that was Art Buchwald's idea of what a black woman would be. In our version, he pretends to be poor, and he falls in love with a woman who wants to be a businesswoman, a community leader. In Art Buchwald's version, the United States government decides they were better off with this king, the original king, being back in power, and they put him back in power. Which has nothing to do with our movie.
Yeah.
Which I broke down to Art Buchwald in person. I said, I'm not saying you're racist, but your premise is racist. It's saying that a guy can be an African ruler is only good if the white America approves of power. Yeah. I said, no one can own the idea of an African coming. Do you own every idea of an African coming to the United States?
I mean, he didn't want to jump in on Crocodile Dundee coming to New York and I didn't know what was coming up next.
I remember I was doing the interview, and he was, he's a darling of the press, and after I testified, there were reporters around me, and he came over and he made like, I have nothing against Barry, and this is not about him and all this stuff. I'm thinking like, this won't even give me my moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
How is it not about you?
Feels like it's about me.
I said, Art, I'll give you your $8 back. If you give me $7.90 I paid as a teenager to see the piece of play you wrote on Broadway called Sheep on the Runway. And I produced the ticket stuff because I had it, my parents sent it to me.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and goes, how do you know about that? I go, I saw it.
And then furthermore, letting you know
I saw it. I'm turning it into a screenplay this year. Eat it.
I submit this is evidence C why we did not have anything to do with his original. So my God. Let me ask you a question now. Now listen, and I don't normally use the word iconic, but literally like this, there are so many iconic moments in this movie. Was there any feeling during writing that you guys were onto something special that would turn into something this monumental, or was it like, okay, this could hit, or
no? Wow.
No, we thought it would be a good film, and we thought we specifically didn't make it time specific. We had no jokes about what was going on in New York in the 80s. Because sometimes when you do that, it dates the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
Watched it this morning, and it still feels just as relatable today. It's very thematic.
But he just brought out something to me. I've watched this movie a million times, and I didn't think about it until he just said this. There's very little almost little to no drug paraphernalia, drug usage, or anything like that. And you're in New York in the 80s. The crime of the height of crack and cocaine and things of that things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo, young Barry. Bravo. Way to break those barriers.
No. And I didn't realize, maybe it's because I'm blind or something, but I didn't realize how sociologically important the film would become.
Yes.
You know, to me, it was like, okay, so it's an all-black cast. I don't, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the importance of that until years later.
Yeah, I mean, that was as a white kid growing up, that was it was one of those movies where, and you said this, it didn't feel like a
black film. It felt like a film.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching just a different genre.
John Landis said something which I think is very true. It was the first all-black film, or first film with a black lead, where race wasn't the point of the film.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And actually, we talked about that a little. We talked about it earlier. That if anything, race wasn't a part of the film, but it did show how internally some African Americans looked at each other. With the character saying, "So wearing clothes must be a new experience for you." You know, he's just saying, "What kind of games y'all play in Africa? Chase the monkey." It showed the internal things, but it was like you say, race was never the thing here. It was about finding true love, like you said, a fairy tale. That guy doesn't own fairy tales. Tell him to get out of here. No. Let me ask you this now. Okay, all right. So now we fast forward because you got to be. Whenever you make a classic that you didn't know was going to be a classic, you got to be very in tune with yourself if you're ever going to try to attempt not to remake the same thing, but to pay homage and be respectful. So with Coming to America 2, it was released on March 5th on Amazon Prime. Let me ask you this: what sparked the idea for the sequel, and were there ever any ideas in the past that didn't necessarily come to fruition?
We never really talked about doing the sequel. Mm-hmm. We tried, and we had a hard time getting funding. This is about 8 years ago, mm-hmm. to turn it into a Broadway musical. Because when we were writing it, we were going, this could be a musical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Broadway's hard to crack. It's very, if you're not from the theater world, they don't want to know you. What happened is, but we never gave much thought to a sequel. And in 2017, January, I was shooting something for National Geographic in Orlando, Florida. And I got a call from Eddie Murphy saying, I think I have a way of doing the sequel. And then, can you come over? And I said, I'm in Orlando right now, but I'll be home in 3 days. We can get together next week. And I got together with him, and he said, let's get Dave in and let's do it the way we did the original one. And he had the basic idea of having the son, mm-hmm. and trying to find a son. But then we spent about 2.5, 3 months working on what the story would be. And, one of the questions we had to figure out was Akeem was in the first one very naive and young. And now he's 58 years old. And you can't be, 58-year-old can't be that naive or look foolish. What had gone through his life, what had transpired in his life, and how things that you think of yourself that you want to do when you're younger, once you get older, you look back and how much have you accomplished and how much have you not followed your goals in life.
Yeah, it's
he even says that in the movie, though. You remember he says that in the film. He says that his son reminded him of him and that vigor that he once had, and that he wasn't that way anymore. So he definitely spoke out into the film. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of themes about how far you can stray from your principles, mm-hmm. when just going.
And this had a much more feminist bent.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, but I love that. Oh, I love that. Listen, by the way, we'll talk about it later. He doesn't know this. One of the best scenes, actually, we didn't talk about. Those girls running up on Wesley Snipes at the end of that film. Listen, that was amazing. I love that scene just to see that family. Like
they reversed it. Where Sam Jackson was thrown on the ground.
Oh yeah, that's the Wesley Snipes. Yeah.
Snipes is down around this one. I thought that was good.
That would be the time to be diplomatic.
So what was it like returning to these characters, and what was your top priority when it came to continuing these stories?
To make them, it was fun returning to the characters. The first thing Dave and I wrote were the barbershop scenes because it was like amazing. It was like turning on the light switch.
Yeah.
In truth, in private, we talk like that to each other a lot of times because we just find it funny to talk that way. But you wanted to keep the integrity of the characters and really examine where they had been and what had happened to them over the last 39 years. Mm-hmm. Oh, 88, 33 years. And for us, that was interesting to explore.
Yeah, I could imagine. Before you get to the next question, I just have one thing. I heard when I was doing the research on the movie that Eddie Murphy already has an idea for a third Coming to America, but he doesn't want to do it until he's in his 80s.
I heard the joke that Arsenio said. Eddie originally wanted Tracy Morgan to be his son.
Yeah.
And we kept saying, Eddie, he's 8 years younger than you, and you look younger than him. and Arsenio said, why don't you do it in 30 years and Morgan Freeman can be your son?
Okay, that's where it came from.
I haven't heard of any ideas to Come to America 3.
Now let's talk about the contrast, or maybe it's not the contrast of the film, but more so the contrast of the times. The first film was rated R, and the sequel is PG-13. Was that a deliberate choice to avoid the restricted rating, or is the PG-13 just a reflection of how the MPAA has loosened up over the years? I mean,
you look at the first film, which is thought of as a family film. Mm-hmm. A film that a family can sit down and watch together, and it's wall to wall motherfuckers and f***s in it. As a matter of fact, I took my daughter to see it when she was about 5 years old, and I said, Casey, Eddie uses words in this movie he shouldn't use, and he gets to the first barbershop scene and goes, "You stupid motherfucker," and then my daughter goes, "Dad, what? He called him stupid."
Yeah. That's the word. Yeah,
raising them right.
Right. Yes, that's right. You should never call people stupid. We all thought it should be PG-13. That you didn't need to. That it would give it a wider audience.
Yeah, it makes sense. And you can tell the story without it.
Yeah, no, the point I was going to say that I brought up to him earlier was that if you noticed in both films, especially in the first film, I haven't vetted this on the second because I've only seen the second one twice now, but in the first film, there's no cursing in Zamunda. All the cursing does happen in Queens.
That's right. That's actually true.
Other than Zamunda. So I love that. So I do love it. Like you said, this does come off as a family film. So if you got... I feel like, and this is me personally, this is just my opinion, I don't feel like you guys tried to recreate Coming to America. Like you say, this was a family film that should be able to stand on its own. Even if I hadn't seen Coming to America, I should be able to like the sequel. That's how I came across liking it.
Right.
So when you are... What?
No, go ahead.
When you're making a sequel to a classic, there is no way that everyone is going to be happy with the results. I mean, it's impossible to please everybody. The people are going to be upset with it before they even watch it, just because it's being tampered with. So how does that affect you going into the writing, going into it knowing that it's going to be vehemently compared to the predecessor? And
you're aware of it, but you're writing for yourself. You're writing to what you think works. I don't know, can't tell you what this person is going to think or that person's going to think, or what audiences want and all that stuff. I can guess what they want. I might be right, I might be wrong, but I know what appeals to me. Mm-hmm. And people, the film is beloved and it's in the Smithsonian, and I'm like, that was the biggest thrill when I went to the Museum of African American History, and it's in there in two different places in the museum, and I was like, oh my God, this is what a compliment. But people forget the first movie didn't get good reviews.
Yeah.
It got mixed at best. Actually, the second one got more or less the same level of good reviews and bad reviews.
That's the sign of a good movie. So how would you compare the two, if you could, if you even have the ability to do that from so close to it?
I think I'm too close to it. I'm happy with both films. The first one's become a classic or whatever, and I really think this is a worthy sequel. I think this is more. Second one's more emotional.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
100%.
yes, 100. Yes.
More emotional.
Listen, since I've already said it, I have to say this: the most emotional scene for me, and I told him out of both films because this had way more emotion than the first one. That scene of John Amos and Eddie Murphy when he's mopping at the end meant so much to me because it shows where he came from, and it's just so you don't get that in the first film, and that's not a bad thing, but it was just so. That's the last time that we'll probably see those two legends on screen together, and it meant so much to me. So that was one of the best ones for me.
Yeah, I like that scene.
Yes. Let me ask you this. Now, fictitious or non-fictitious, not the lead characters, who was your favorite supporting character to write for? Even if it was one of the barbershop people or someone.
Well,
it'll be the barbershop guys.
Okay. You must be out your mind, class.
Yeah. And Arsenio's preacher character is fun to write for. It was cut down.
Where's his pants at, by the way? Don't think we didn't notice that when he was in that scene. There's no pants that he has.
Originally, when that church he went into, he was in a hot tub with a girl in a bathing suit. The scene was just too long for when it appeared in the film.
And the crack house of God.
Oh yes, crack house, yes. Oh my, Leslie Jones.
Yeah, I watched that and I wondered, are people going to notice this?
Oh, I'm like, yeah. Sorry, it's not the first time I've seen it, and it wasn't on film. Go ahead, David.
Before we move on from Coming to Americas, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Do you think fans of the films would like to know?
Most of it, the New York stuff was shot in Brooklyn, not Queens. Where the barbershop was in. Where he lived was my mom escaped from Germany, and she came to America, and it was 1 block where she lived from where Eddie lived in the movie.
Oh my gosh!
And so that was kind of very like, ooh, my God.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and good luck with the show. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, and once again, we want to thank our guests, guys. We want to say this, guys. Listen to all of our guests from season 1, and of course, now here in season 2, and the future guests in season 3. We thank you guys for taking the time out. Without you, we still would do what we do, but it makes it so much better that you guys have been a part of this journey with us, because it's no longer just our show. It's our show. So thank you guys so much for that. Now, this brings us to, of course, room for improvement. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Again, I hate sequels, and I don't like classics being messed with. So for me, I'm going to say that the one room for improvement for me would have been for them to at least show me some respect and send me an email. When I saw what they did with first, it's just a slap in the face. First it was Killmonger, then it was me, and then they got this guy's hair just like my hair. And I'm like, yo, what the is going on here? I'm like, no, not again. Like, they took Creed from me, and now you're gonna take this. I mean, what next is what's coming out next? Is Goonies coming to the hood? I mean, I don't understand what the is happening next. So what I'm saying is, if there was room for improvement, number one, I should have been in this movie. That's my room for improvement. Would I have made it better? Yes. Would I have been in that long? I don't know, but I'm not gonna let this keep happening, okay? I didn't get jobs with a low fade, a mid fade, a temp fade, a high fade, a fro, and I got the dread. Now they're styling the shit like me. Put this up there right now. There's Killmonger, there's Mr. Royal, and there's him. Now you tell me, who do you want to
King Humble.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
Did you black out for a second?
I did.
Nothing happened. Well, you'll see it. My room for improvement is that I have nothing to improve on the first one other than leave it alone.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If I could improve upon it at all, it'd be by not adding the unnecessary weight of the sequel to its legacy.
Could have made the first one longer and I would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like 20-30 minutes longer.
Which actually, you are in stark contrast to John Landis, the director. He's been asking Paramount for years to allow him to create a director's cut, and it would be the first director's cut that's shorter than the actual film because he wants to improve the pacing on it. Here's my thing about the sequel. Why do movies today feel the need to spell out where they stand on principles?
Is it the movies or is it the studios?
It's probably this. I can't speak. I'm not there. But all I know is what I'm seeing is the end result, and it's just bogged down by preaching. Like if I want preaching, I'll go to church. All right. Let's get into Fxxks Given. 1 through 5. How we feel about the film. 1 being we couldn't stand it. 5 being it couldn't get any better. And I give Coming to America the original 4 because I think it is near perfect. I don't there's few perfect movies. This one is right on the line of being perfect. I can't even put into words what exactly I would change about it to make it a 5, but there are 5s out there that I know about, and I wouldn't put this on that level, but it is right there with them.
There's so many numbers I can think of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5! Yeah, say it again. 5! Yeah, we're getting 5 on this one, brother. Listen, I'm sorry. Again, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry. It has nothing to do with being an all-black class, because you we've not said his name one time today on the episode, so we must say it. Louis Anderson, another classic. If you did read it, you read it in the thing, but let's say that, guys, come on, this is Louis Anderson, another person from our time. So this was iconic on so many different levels, and yet again, I feel like I'm the only person to bring up the fact that there's the subtleties in the first one with them not ever cursing in Zamunda one time, but when they got the moment they got off the plane, it was go time, and then the moment they got back, it wasn't. So just to pair it, but yeah, for me it's 5. No questions asked, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. That's the first one. Now the second one, I'm going to jump right into it.
Before you get into the second one, as far as the first one goes,
Rotten Tomatoes.
Critics score, the audience score. Critics gave it a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience gave it an 85%.
Wow. All right. Now, the second one. Again, and guys, you come to the show for one reason and one reason only. That's because we asked you to subscribe. But other than that, the other people that come to the show, they come because they're getting content that they're not going to get anywhere else. And our responsibility and our job to you is to, of course, be good hosts, but also be honest to ourselves and true to the nature of the show. So we'll never, depending on who we have on a movie we bring on, just cater to what should be said. And with that being said, if I have to give this movie 1 through 5, I landed at 2.5. And I'll be completely honest with you. Yeah, 2.5. There you go.
I gave it 2.5 as well.
Well, then there you go. Now, granted, first off, we're biased because we're prisoners of the moment. The movie came out, the original came out in our childhood. It's near and dear to our hearts. When the moment he told me, just before we even decided to do the show, you told me this film was coming out, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, not everything can be Ocean's 11 again. You see what I'm saying? Ocean's 11, like 30, 40 years, then the next one's come out. Okay, I see it. But no, not this. Yeah. Certain things are not to be touched. That's why they call classics.
I didn't agree with you then. I do agree with you now.
You wouldn't I tried to foreshadow you to you.
I know. You're
like, nah, man, did you see the trailer?
I had high hopes. Those hopes started declining when I saw it was going to be PG-13. I'm like, they're already veering away from the recipe. First of all, they come back to the barbershop. There's no Cuba Gooding Jr. there. How perfect would that have been?
Perfect. I didn't even know who the other guy was that was there. Yeah,
who aged naturally.
Omar Gooding. Omar Gooding would have been better. His brother. Go ahead.
Not to have Academy Award winning Cuba Gooding Jr. sitting there and still not. They can be silent the whole time. That would have been priceless. But then what bothered me is that it's like all modern movies now. I feel like if E.T. were to come out right now, it would feel less magical. There's something about digital versus film. There's something, I don't know what it is, but everything in this felt smaller. It felt like James Earl Jones's funeral. That in itself was smaller in scale. You think of that opening scene with all the dancers coming out in the original. I don't understand it. It should have felt bigger. It felt smaller.
Now, I will say one thing that was better. Damn it, the hair and wardrobe was 10 times better.
That person was that woman was, and she is the same woman that did Black Panther.
No, because remember I took up for her in the first. If you don't have to play it now, but I'm gonna go back and watch it now. Yeah, she is that deal. Yeah, man. That the hair, the wardrobe. Golly, man, Jesus.
The circumcision scene was weird.
Really, David? Out of all the films you've seen, that's weird to you.
This is the prank. This is like the wholesome
The test of
family.
courage.
This is the prank. Let's scar our son by having him whip his dick out in front of his sisters, his stepmom, his real mom, his uncle, and then not really. Like, haha, it was a potato. We didn't really cut it. It's like, that's not what I'm traumatized about right now. I just whipped my dick out in front of everybody for nothing. I thought this was a serious ceremony. I have some pros.
Do you?
Yeah, because...
I think you're missing a few letters. BLEM. Problem. I think you have some problems.
General Izzy's entrance was amazing. The callback to the Queen, the to-be still hopping and barking was a clever callback. Leslie Jones and Tracy Morgan being cast as siblings was genius. And I would rather see that movie.
Like, would it be called Where Brooklyn? Where Queens at? Where Brooklyn? Dude, them yelling.
I don't even care. Just them and those characters as brother and sister. Daily life. But I don't care what happens. That is such brilliant casting to have them as brother and sister because they have the same. They could be energy. Yeah, they could be brother and sister.
One thing the movie definitely got right was I don't care whether you from France, Guam, Ecuador, third world country, or Moncrief in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval. We all know this. When somebody from New York or Queens goes somewhere that they're not, and they ask, is anybody from New York in the house or Queens? Like, they gonna let you know they in that motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Like, they were in another country, thousands of miles away. Anybody from Queens here? Like, we know it's y'all. Yeah. We know it. Yeah. So yeah, that was yeah. So that so
I will. I mean. It was a great. I will say it was a beautiful love letter to the original for anything.
Now, if you call it that, then it is beautiful.
I don't know.
It felt like a love letter to the original because they wrapped it all up. Even with that end scene, they wrapped it all up. So
they gave you all the hits that you wanted. But that was the problem for me, that you're watching all these things that you loved from that's the problem, is you don't want to go into this movie comparing it to the original, or else you're going to be let down.
Correct.
But this movie keeps begging you to compare it to the original because it's giving you these replays of all these things.
Wasn't 15 minutes of the movie the original movie?
Yeah, that's why they had to give David Landis credit in the in the opening. He had nothing to do with shooting this movie, but because they played parts that he directed.
Oh my god.
He got the credit.
I will tell you this before we go. Next time I go somewhere, I'm walking in the room like Wesley Snipes. I'm telling you that right now. Oh,
yeah. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 52% critics, and audience gave it a 48%. But we might be speaking too soon here. It just came out a few days. I might be speaking too soon here. It came out a few days ago, and like Barry said, the first one wasn't received quite well from the audience when it first came out, and who the hell knows? 20 years from now, I might be proved wrong that this becomes a classic in itself by the time they're making the third one.
Right, but as I stated before we go, when it originally came out, it was not critically received well, and here it is now.
What did you guys think of Coming to America and Coming to America? How do you compare the two? I would like to know if you're out there watching this and you liked the second one better than the first one.
Please write us.
Yeah.
Let us know who you are.
Yeah, I want to know who you are. I want to know what you're about. All right, coming attractions.
All right. They used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they call me Batman. I'm the HNIC. Yes, I was picking up. No, sir. That's what you were. Trash. Go ahead.
Yeah, so next episode we are covering Lean on Me, March 25th.
Morgan, segue. See, Morgan, you gave us about 2 minutes in Coming to America 2. Now you're finna give us 102 minutes or more.
We have a very awesome guest set up for that episode. Royal's gonna try his hardest to play it cool.
Wait a minute. First off, Daddy's cool, and number two, you never let him see you sweat. And listen, I'm cold. There's no need to be cool.
And next Thursday, this Thursday coming up, I should say, check out our full interview with Barry Blaustein. We'll be posting to the channel. And everybody have a wonderful week, a good rest of the month, and just let your soul glow, just let it shine through, just let your soul glow, feeling oh so silky smooth, just let it shine through, yeah. Just let your soul
subscribe, it'll last longer.